You're watching Inside the Zone.
He's Justin Kinney. I'm Glenn Marini. We got a ton of football to get to this week because it is sectional semifinals week here on Inside the Zone. And Justin, man, before we get into this week's action too much, what really did you take away from last week? Because, you know, no 6A, no 5A, kind of an opportunity for some of the smaller schools classification-wise to get the magnifying glass, to get the limelight here in Northeast Indiana.
I think with some of the big games that we saw just why we look at the SAC as being that best conference in the area and why we look at the Northeast 8 as maybe being the second best conference top to bottom. You saw, a team that finishes at the bottom of the NE8 in Norwell handle a team that finished in the middle of the ACAC. We saw what Bishop Dwenger did winning the SAC, what it did against a team like Leo. So maybe a reminder for some people why we look at the city as maybe the best league in the area, the NE8 kind of being there as well, because it kind of shook out that way on the first Friday night of the postseason. I'm
glad that you mentioned Dwenger Leo because we're going to take a look at that game. It was our highlight zone game of the week for a sectional 19, and we've been talking about it all year. Just tough top to bottom. I think DeKalb found out how tough that can be, and you throw out the records in the regular season because Columbia City goes ahead and beats DeKalb, who was red hot on the road in Waterloo. But when you take a look back at our game of the week from last week, Bishop Dwenger versus Leo, what really sticks out, because we had talked about that Bishop Dwenger defense all season long. It's carried this team, but they're starting to be more opportunistic offensively. And then you see on special teams, Carroll can add to that, just how potent they've been with Lucas Nguyen at the kicking position and what they've been able to do on special teams to create some turnovers there and short field position for some of these drives for the Dwenger offense.
Yeah, and with just how stingy the Dwenger defense is, when you have Lucas Nguyen, who's nearly automatic inside 55 at this point, hit another 50-yard field goal on Friday.
They tried to call it 49, but it was like on the 50. Come on now, Leo.
Give the guy his 50-yarder, right? He's hit from 52. He's hit from 53. He's absolutely huge. But this game came down to two things. Is with Bishop Dwenger, could they move the ball and not make mistakes? And I think Henry Jordan had maybe his best game of the season on Friday. But we knew Leo ran through Nathan Foster. And if you could limit Nathan Foster, what's that do? And we saw what it did. I mean, Titus Stoller did his best, ran for over 100 yards and threw when he could. But when you cannot move the ball with Nathan Foster, who's been as automatic as it comes all season long, held to 43 yards on 22 carries. They just kept giving the ball, and there was just no running room for him. That was Leo's offense all season. And when you take it away, we saw what happened.
It's funny because last week I talked to an NE8 assistant coach, and he was like, what do you think about this game? And I was like, Dwenger's probably favored because of the defense. And he goes, I don't think they played every team in the NE8 this year, obviously. He said, I don't know outside of East Noble if there's an NE8 team that can score on that Bishop Dwenger defense. Yeah. That's just, what the guys that have been through the NE8 rigors, the gauntlet, have said about this defense. And really, Leo didn't score until the end. It could have been a shutout for Bishop Dwenger had things played out differently, right at the end of that ball game. So have we maybe understated even the Bishop Dwenger defense? We've talked about it a lot. Is it even better than maybe we even think?
Yeah. I think so. I think
Short answer, yeah.
I mean, you look, they held Carroll without a touchdown. So,
that's true.
When you look at that, when we're comparing offenses and the most dynamic offenses in the area, regardless of conference, Carroll is in the conversation, right? So for what they did against Carroll early in the season was very impressive. So, Bishop Dwenger just isn't flashy. It never really has been flashy. Maybe some of their elite teams, right, in the early and mid-2000s were really flashy when you throw John Goodman in there and guys like that and Tyler Eifert. But it's just a very business-like approach defensively. Offensively, they're not putting up 40, 50 spots every single week. So it's not sexy. They're not putting up huge numbers. But defensively in particular, it's arguably the best defense in the entire area. Leo found that out.
Here's the thing about the Bishop Dwenger defense that is interesting to me. The all-SAC teams came out, right? And, there isn't – who's, the one stud? Sometimes you have it built around, one guy – it's more of a team effort. And I mean, you look at Houston Ellinger was second team all conference. You could argue he was the best player on the defensive side.
He's gonna be the best player on Dwenger, period.
Tryons in the trenches both ways. Doug Henry, Casey Piper. There isn't there wasn't just one guy where you said, yes, it's this guy, and then everybody else filters around him. It's like a team effort, players on each level that maybe aren't first team all conference, but are really, really good productive high school football players.
It's like Snyder a lot of years, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they don't always have a Jesse Bates on defense or you know, stuff like that on offense, but you look collectively, and Snyder most years, not this year, is arguably one of the best teams in the SAC. That's Dwenger. A couple of people asked me over the weekend, it's like, well, how does Dwenger only have X amount of first teamers and Northside has this? And it's like, well, individual talent doesn't always equate to team success. And so it's a testament to Bishop Dwenger, and it's a testament to Snyder the years they do it is not always individual talent that's going to lead the way. And you say, well, are we shortchanging Dwenger? Okay, you start looking and reading the stats and between the lines, you're going, well, who are we missing that should be first team? You mentioned Houston Ellinger. I probably should be a first teamer, but by and large, it's just a bunch of dudes that go about their business and do it effectively. And the collective result is an SAC championship and now a route to begin the postseason.
All right. Well, we had a chance to talk to some of those dudes after the win this past Friday night. Here's what they had to say.
I mean, yeah, it's huge. Special teams is a huge asset to the game. I mean, it's either a change of possession or points are being scored. So we use that tremendously to take advantage in games.
Defensively, you guys pitched a shutout for 46.5 minutes. Just how are you guys feasting as a unit to really shut down a really strong Leo offense?
I mean, yeah, we're all just the closest of friends. We go out to eat. You know, we have film together, and so it's just a brotherhood out there. We're going to war together, and it's not for ourselves, it's for each other.
For you guys, you now advance to the sectional semifinal, a chance to play for a sectional championship next week. How do you attack this next week, knowing you're going to get a really good team, whether it's DeKalb or Columbia City next week?
I mean, yeah, it's good teams in the SAC and in the playoffs, so we're just going one game at a time, and that's all we're looking for right now.
Henry, that was a heck of a win. Nearly pitched a shutout as a team, but for you guys to start the second season like this, what does a win say about this team?
Yeah, it was awesome. We just got to make sure we keep our heads low and just keep grinding.
Offensively, just how are you guys able to settle into this game and really play complementary football all night?
Yeah, O-line did great, receivers did great. I just gave them the ball and they did the work for me.
I was going to say, second half, when you guys started to pull away, just how much do you feed off of that when you have that offensive line that you talked about in that running game to really get the offense humming like you did?
Yeah, I mean, the energy is important. Everybody brought it. Linemen brought it. Running backs brought it. Everybody brought it, and that just kept the momentum going.
I know you're relatively newer to this program, but a lot of these guys talked about what happened here 2 years ago. What did you see in practice this week as far as the guys and the motivation to come in here and come away with a dub?
Yeah, I mean, everybody remembered that 2 years ago before we left for the game, there was pictures up on the wall, don't let this be you. Everybody remembered that.
I was going to say, just knowing you get Columbia City or DeKalb next week, still up in the air, but for you guys to get another week together, how do you attack this next week and make sure you punch your ticket to the sectional championship?
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to have another week with my guys. Just keep working and don't get too high on yourself.
I know a lot of the guys were talking about 2 years ago, the last time they were on this field. To get a win like this, what does that say about this group in the senior class?
We get another week together. That's what we've been talking about. And, gosh, we seem to be going in the right direction. We continue to get healthier. As we go forward, might have Gus back, a couple other guys back next week, and they're playing for each other. And another week, that's what we keep saying, just another week together.
You guys got that blocked field goal early on. How did that set the tone in this game?
Well, yeah, I mean, they had a great drive there. Again, hats off to them and their coaching staff, but that was a big momentum shift. They were driving it, a couple big plays there, and that turned it around for us. And then the second half, I think we made some tremendous adjustments and did some really good things in the second half, put all three facets together.
Felt like all three units, kind of like what you said, all coming together, a lot of complementary football. How dangerous is this team when you see all three units clicking like you did see tonight?
Well, I think that's still yet to come. We got some things we got to work on, but yeah, I mean, as good as we were tonight, we can still do a lot of things better. So we get a chance to get back to work tomorrow. So we're looking forward to that.
I don't know if you noticed at the beginning of the interview, the Bishop Dwenger bus was rocking.
And you were doing the chant too.
Yeah, day by day, day by day. We get better and better. We get better and better. Can't be beat, can't be beat, won't be beat, won't be beat. See, that's how I know I've covered football in
You've
Fort
been
Wayne
around
for
way too long in these parts.
We'll talk more sectional 4A Sectional 19 in just a second, but I want to get to our highlight zone game of the week. We're going to do it in 6A because this game intrigues me a little bit more than maybe it did in the regular season.
Sure.
Snyder versus Northrop in 6A to get things going when you're talking about 6A Sectional 2. How do you see this one going? Because in the regular season, 35-14, Northrop comes up victorious, their first win over Snyder in over 2 decades. But things have shifted a little bit. Snyder's playing better football, and you never can count Snyder out when it comes to the postseason.
Now, that win in Week 9, coming back from 17 down to beat Northside, was very impressive. And you look at that, maybe was a coming out party of sorts for a lot of underclassmen for Snyder. They make the change at quarterback to go to the sophomore, which has really helped that offense considerably, particularly in that second half with Northside. I just feel, if anything, Snyder is feeling confident. And it's a cliche we talk about, right? When you play sophomores, so many sophomores, by this time of the year, they're juniors, right? You expect them to play like juniors. So that's what I think Coach Tippmann and that staff are expecting, is maybe they finally figured it out, quote unquote, with that win over Northside, and how does that give them confidence heading into the rematch against Northrop?
I can tell you this, if you're the Snyder defensive staff, one thing you're going to be game planning against is Jaquaden Guilford, because Quay, in that first time they played, had touchdown receptions of 45 yards, 67 yards, and 12 yards. I would say stopping Quay Guilford might be priority number one.
It would be definitely a priority. And this is the thing, is you still have Quay to deal with. You still have Maddox Wild to deal with. You still have David Callison to deal with. So what has changed since Week 7 for Snyder in terms of how they're defending that offense is you can still have the same personnel, but if they can't guard the personnel, that's kind of a problem. With that first game, it was Quay, and then a mix-in of Maddox Wild when you needed it. But none of the defenders in the secondary for Snyder could match up to Quay. And are you making that much in terms of gains? Are you all of a sudden going to figure out how to guard Jaquaden Guilford is my question. I
like number 22. Q Hunter in the backfield, defensive back for Snyder, only a sophomore. I think he could have a big game, or at least will help determine if Quay has a big game. So certainly an interesting matchup there.
If they can get some pressure on David Callison and make him make some throws off balance and maybe force some miscues there, that is their best bet.
That's a good point. That is a good point. It could happen up front. Also in 6A, you got Carroll at Elkhart, Hamilton Southeastern at Homestead. Those will certainly be interesting games as well as we talk about how 6A will eventually play out going forward. That is not a gimme game for Carroll.
No, it's kind of a sneaky, tough game, I think. Because Carroll, I think they scrimmaged Elkhart in the summer, so they know kind of what to expect. But I felt like whoever drew Elkhart, maybe Northrop, if they would have gotten that would have been very much a trap game. But yeah, Carroll has to watch it. Going on the road to a competent Elkhart team, they at least know about them, have seen them. But turnabout's fair play, right? Elkhart has seen Carroll as well.
Speaking of going on the road, let's talk about 5A Sectional 11. Warsaw goes on the road to face Concord. That is no easy task. If you remember earlier in the season, Concord, I believe it was 38-7 that Concord won in that one. Although Warsaw did knock them off going to the state finals last year. So there is some precedent there. While Northside is going to be at Goshen. For both Warsaw and Northside, how do you take the show on the road and get things going? Specifically for Northside, we mentioned coming off that loss to Snyder. That's not how they wanted to end the regular season. We're a bit nicked up at the end of that ball game. How do you flip the script and get ready to take on Goshen? Because no matter if you beat Goshen, you're going to be at home against either Warsaw or Concord for a sectional championship, so you can't overlook Goshen.
We talked about how Snyder benefited from that Week 9 win over Northside. How does Northside use that time off, that bye week, to move ahead from the loss to Snyder? So that's my big question. Where is Northside at mentally to not only go on the road and beat a very beatable Goshen team, but maybe going into next week against, regardless whether it's Warsaw or Concord, who you're going to have to play in that final, and you get them at home and you're trying to end a 35-year drought in terms of a sectional championship? Where's Northside at mentally after effectively falling apart against Snyder? Have they used it for positive momentum, or has it really rattled them?
Moving along, let's talk a little 4A Sectional 19. I know people want to talk about this sectional. You got Southside at East Noble, and you've got Columbia City at Bishop Dwenger. Most people penciled in DeKalb to beat Columbia City, as they did 28-7 in the regular season. But Columbia City with a really nice defensive performance to win 16-10 last week. And then Southside at East Noble. Is this? We've already talked about trap games. Could this be a trap game for East Noble, despite the fact that they were absolutely dominant against New Haven? Because Chris Moon is a lot to deal with. He takes the opening kick, as we're looking at it right now, back for a touchdown against Wayne in the first round. Are there some problem areas if you're East Noble when you have to prepare for an SAC team that has some athletes, especially on the offensive side?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me for Southside's chance on East Noble is Southside being able to get stops against East Noble. I mean, the Knights can give up some touchdowns here or there to Southside, but if the Archers can't get any stops, it doesn't really matter. And that's kind of my concern for Southside going into this game. Going up to Kendallville is, how do you slow down Riley Biddle? How do you slow down Austin Phillips and guys like that? It's just, it's very difficult to see how Southside can stay in this game if they can't get some defensive stops, some miscues by East Noble. That's going to be key.
All right, let's move on to 3A Sectional 26. You got Lakeland at Garrett and Angola at West Noble. Angola with a really nice win last week against a solid Tippecanoe Valley squad, 21-6. The defense showed up, kind of bend but not break in this third and fourth quarter for Angola. And then West Noble just continues to play good football. I wasn't surprised that they beat Concordia, but I was surprised that it was 42-0 in the fact that I would think that Concordia would have been toughened up a little bit by that SEC schedule to give them at least a little bit more of a fight in Ligonier this past Friday.
Congratulations to the Chargers. First ever victory over an SAC team.
I did not know
ever.
that.
Yeah. They ran into Bishop Lures several times over the years in the playoffs, and that never went well. So congratulations for West Noble beating an SAC team for the first time. And Angola, you mentioned it in terms of that game. Tippecanoe Valley got some love in 3A in terms of the polls, at certain points of the season. And Hawk Hasselman, another huge game for them. All three touchdowns for Angola. That's the big thing for me for Angola is, can they slow down West Noble offensively? And conversely, can Hawk Hasselman have another huge game? I mean, the kid is on the short list of MVP in this area this year. He does everything for the Hornets. Has been tremendous. Led the way last week. Can Angola surprise some more people? Go on the road, knock off the Chargers.
All right, let's talk about 3A Sectional 28. Speaking of going on the road, Bishop Lures goes down to Delta, to Muncie.
You're part of
my neck of the woods.
Your neck of the woods?
Delta, not specifically, but Muncie proper, as you were.
Delaware County.
Delaware County. And it took a little bit to get them started, but man, they eventually rolled 38-7.
Yeah.
They take on a Norwell team now that is riding high, and they're starting to play some of the young kids. They got E.J. Morgan at the running back position. They got the Kurtz kid playing quarterback, who I believe is just a freshman. And looked pretty darn good against Heritage in a 24-6 win.
Well, that's the big thing with some of these teams that struggled in the regular season, struggled in their conference, is where are they at mentally going into the playoffs with 1 win, 2 wins, right? And Norwell showed that they're not cashed out, right? They're still locked in, knock off Heritage in convincing fashion. Now they have to go on the road, take on Bishop Lures at Lures Field this Friday. And for the Knights, I mean, you look at Tommy Reichert, his best game of his career last week against Delta. We've gone back and forth with Thomas Reichert and Knox Johnson at Bishop Lures, and seems like they've settled on Reichert. He has a breakout game. Can Norwell really rattle him if they are able to stop the run? And that's the thing, is we've seen so many of these Lures sophomores, right? The sophomores are now juniors in terms of what you look at as a head coach. So for Bishop Lures, they're just going to have to continue to play the way they played last week against Delta. Norwell, playing with house money, I feel, at this point, right? Go into it, play it loose, go into Lures Field, create some early turnovers, stay in it, make Bishop Lures play tighter and tighter as the game goes on, see if you can steal one.
I love that they're playing the young guys. They're like, all right, man, let's get the postseason. Yeah. These guys are freshmen and sophomores are now, essentially sophomores and juniors. Let's roll with the young guys. The regular season didn't go exactly how they would have liked, so hey, let's play these guys. And it looked like they were just having fun.
Fun, gain experience, and maybe steal one.
On a Friday night, why not? And you can't, if you're Bishop Lures, you don't want to overlook an opponent because Mrs. Sinawah might be on the other side of the bracket as they get Jay County. And Mrs. Sinawah is pretty darn good, so you don't want to overlook Norwell this week, though. 2A Sectional 35, we got Bluffton, we got Adams Central round 2. How do you see this one playing out?
Talking to Coach Kunkel, after that first loss to Adams Central. So, there's too many mistakes, right? You have to play a near perfect game to even have a chance to beat Adams Central. So not only does Bluffton need to clean up the mistakes they did the first time around, but they have to go above and beyond, right? They need to create some turnovers. They can't let Adams Central dictate the tempo of the game, the pace of the game, controlling the clock, right? So for Bluffton, you have to put up points and you have to force some miscues out of Adams Central. They're so good at avoiding mistakes, right? Turnovers. When they have a chance to score, they convert. And for Bluffton, they really need to create some of the turnovers, some of the miscues for Adams Central to have a shot in this one.
If you're Bluffton, how much are you people say chomping at the bit. It's actually champing at the bit. How much are you champing at the bit after the 47-17 loss back in Week 8 to get another shot at this team? Because it's been since 2009 since Bluffton has beaten Adams Central, and they want to wash that taste out of their mouth, specifically because it was so lopsided. And this was a year where we thought, well, you think this all the time, that maybe this is a year that somebody can get AC. We thought they were gettable, and boy, they weren't.
They were not gettable.
Not that night, anyway.
Well, rarely do you get a second opportunity at a rival at home, right? That first game was at home. So Bluffton can look at it and say, you know what, we didn't put our best step forward at home against Adams Central. Maybe they felt like we just didn't represent ourselves well. So now you have another chance to go out when it really matters in the playoffs, and you get a second chance. And how does Bluffton come out, and how do they maximize that opportunity? Do they limit the mistakes and then also force some on Adams Central? It's very difficult to take Adams Central out of their game and maybe force them to play from behind a little bit. Can Bluffton score a couple touchdowns in that first quarter? Put Jamison Roach in that offense in a position where it has to play catch-up, take them out of their comfort zone. That's going to be key, too, for the Tigers.
The one thing I love about the Tigers is they are coming off a quality win where they had to gut it out in the fourth quarter.
Credit to Busco, man.
Against a really good opponent in Busco, a conference champion. We had a chance to catch up with the Tigers after a 39-38 win against Churubusco in Turtletown, and here's what the Tigers had to say.
I mean, that's a great game. I mean, obviously we want it to be a little bit less stressful, but that builds character, that right there. I mean, that game builds character. It's a momentum game for the next week, and we all know who we got next week. They're a great opponent, man, and we're just ready, and we're super happy.
Yeah, what was that message? You know, you're down with 6 minutes to go, but you're still believing that, hey, we can still pull this one out. You know, what kind of grit did this team show tonight? What does that really say about Bluffton football?
That shows everything. It starts all the way at the bottom, and it also starts all the way at the top. Everybody on this roster has grit, has determination to win, and follows the leaders. We're all leaders. We all follow each other, and that's what happens when you do that.
Well, I mean, Coach said a lot just right there. How do you really use this one as momentum? I mean, this is huge going into Adams Central next Friday. How do you use this one to really work for next week?
Well, I think, you know, it is a really big momentum game, but we got to stay grounded because I mean, Adams Central's been in state 4 years in a row. They won last year. They're an amazing team. So really celebrating this win. But come Sunday and Monday, and when we're preparing for Adams Central, it's all go, and this is behind us.
All right, AJ. Well, first of all, what a game. You know, I mean, where do you even start with that one? Just what has this one meant to you? What kind of emotions are you feeling right now?
Well, being a senior, this could have been my last game. It was scary, but I trusted the guys to come out and get the W with us, and I'm proud of all of them.
Well, I mean, Coach has already said it, just the grit, the perseverance, the still believing when there's 2 minutes left to go. You know, what does that really say about this football team?
It just shows how great of a group of guys we have here. Our teamwork and our community here is just crazy, and I love everything about it here.
And kind of what was that message? You know, you're still going back and forth late fourth quarter. How did you guys really keep it pushing, keep the train on the tracks there when things were kind of going out of control?
Well, ever since Shenandoah and South Adams when we were trailing and we had to go get those game-winning drives, I knew the guys could do it, and we came through again.
And I know you got a huge one next week now. How do you use this celebrate this win, but also how do you use this one as momentum to keep going?
Well, Churubusco's offense kind of reminds me of AC, and they better prepare us than I ever think we could for AC, and I'm excited for what we're going to do next week.
First of all, just hats off to Cherubusco, Coach Said. That is a physical, nasty, in a good way football team, and they just played their guts out. It's a shame that someone had to lose this game because both teams, I think, deserve to win. But credit to our kids, never say and die. It looked pretty hairy there in the first half, especially couldn't get a stop on defense. Did a couple things offensively to kind of set us behind the 8 ball a little bit too, but to stay together, to come out on top. With a game-winning drive there with 4 minutes left and a 2-point play, just says a lot about our kids' heart and who they are.
Yeah, I mean, that was my next question, to go for that 2-point conversion, to, go all or nothing at that point, essentially. What does that really say about just this program, trusting each other, never losing that belief that we can still pull this one out? What does that really say about this group of guys?
It's belief in your kids, it's trusting your kids. That's a play we've repped every day. Every Thursday since the beginning of the season. So we kind of knew that's our 2-point play. Credit to Axton finding AJ. AJ ran a great route, line protected. Cherubusco had stopped us a couple times on 2-point conversions, so didn't really feel like running the football. And that route came open at the right time, and Axton hit AJ, and just, again, happy to come out here with the win.
All right, let's move on to a little bit of 1A South Adams. I know we've been calling for it all season. They get the respect, though.
Show some respect.
Yeah, after a victory against
Madison Grant,
the Argyles. I just wanted to say the Argyles because I love the team name. They always sock it to the Argyles. When you take a look at what South Adams has to do now, they go to Tri on the road. How do you see that one playing out? Because Tri's coming off a big win against Westell, and South Adams is a pretty darn good football team, as people around the state that voted the poll are finally catching on to.
Finally, it's tough for South Adams because they first have to go to Madison Grant. Now they got to go to Tri, right? And Tri's pretty solid. And
that Madison Grant game was here.
Oh, that's right. That's true. That is true. So with South Adams, you looked at that first half, gave up 28 points to Madison Grant in the first half, right? And then they come back and pitch a shutout in the second half. And talking to Coach Grant Mosier's like, we made some adjustments, but really it was about wearing down Madison Grant. He said, looking at their tape second half, they start to fall off. It was all about commitment for 4 quarters for South Adams. It sounds cliche, right? But it worked out for as they put up a couple touchdowns in the fourth quarter to put that game away. So now how do they continue it? Now they got to go on the road to Try. But I still feel like you look at that South Adams offense and just how electric it can be. Madison Grant found that out. Now the goal is to take it on the road to Try.
Well, defense, as we say, wins championships, and we found that out in the SAC this season. Jason Garrett and the Saints marching to the victory bell. We had a chance to go behind the scenes before that SAC championship clinching victory, and here's a look at our 2-minute drill with the Saints.
Got me mic'd up, bro. Mic'd up? They got me mic'd up, bro. Boys are back! Probably the biggest ritual is our prayer. Just kind of goes through the traditions of our football program and then ends with a little chant that's been around for 50 plus years. And then the We Will Rock You song, which started through Andy Johns in the 80s. You catching them back here?
I was here last time.
Who caught one?
Me. I caught
No, don't even. I didn't see anybody catch one.
I caught 3.
Did you? Did you really? Good to see you again, too, man. You got taller, I think. How you doing, man? Taller. I get older and grayer. How you doing, man? Good to see you. I tried that last week. It didn't work. He's like, wait a minute. Cray! Where's Cray? Cray, you're first! Managers are always first!
I don't know. I just followed my dad.
I'm thankful for you.
Thanks
Thanks for all you've done. Thank you for everything. Got a great son. Thanks for letting him be part of it. 3 hands. The process has brought us to this moment, a championship moment, an opportunity to bring the bell back to Bishop Dwenger. When you think about a bell, which is on all our minds, the thing that just keeps going through my head is, it's time. And I think that's the most important thing to think about tonight. It is time. It is time to put all 3 facets together. It is time. And it's time to bring that daggone thing back home. Honor God, honor your family name tonight, and let's dominate. Because it's time, man. It's time. It's been a long time coming. You agree with that? Let's play. Let's go. Play it up. Let's go. Lord, into your hands. We commend our minds, our hearts, our souls, our spirit. May we be strong, steadfast, and fearless, believing you always march with us, never failing us, never abandoning us. Amen. Ta-da, ta-da! Beat Southside! Beat Southside! Ta-da, ta-da! Beat Southside! Beat Southside! Ta-da, ta-da! Beat Southside! Let's go!
And they did beat Southside and
They did.
are on their way to what they hope is a long playoff run. Heading into this week's sectional semifinals, as we wrap things up, what are you looking forward to here in week 11 of the season?
It's arguably my favorite week of the season because you have all 6 classes playing. We got sectional semifinals, 5A and 6A get started this week. So let's see who emerges, and we have sectional championships a week from Friday.
All right, we'll be talking about it next Monday right here on Inside the Zone. For Justin, I'm Glenn, and we'll see you next week.
You're watching Inside the Zone.